Hello, this is RV Vagabond Jerry, and I'm at the historic Wyoming State Prison in Rawlins, Wyoming. And I have been to several historic prisons around the country, but one problem that I find at least 90% of the time is that they will not allow you to take videos through the tour, and rarely will you find a prison that will let you go through it without in a tour. But this one I asked and they said sure, no problem taking a video. So finally I get a chance to have a really good prison tour and take a video for you. So come into the prison with me and I'll show you around. And in 1987, long after the prison had been abandoned, they allowed a movie company to come in and make a movie here at the prison, and the title of that movie was simply Prison. So the movie company made a lot of modifications to fit their needs. Like, for example, in one place in the exercise yard, I'm going to show you a big hole in the wall that was not originally there, that the movie company made to give them access. So let's go in.
Now when Mr. Julian was alive, he was a humanitarian. This meant that he believed no man should have to bear the shame of killing another, so he invented a way where the man would essentially kill himself. When he was ready, the guards would have him step on this platform here, and his weight would cause this plank to push down on a valve. That valve would open a small tube in this bucket, causing the water in the bucket to slowly drain out. On the other end of that bucket was a counterweight. Once the counterweight became heavier than the bucket, it would fall to the ground, pulling the plank out from beneath him, causing him to drop to his death. He would stand up here for 1 to 2 minutes while the water drained, literally listening to his life drain away. Sorry. Oh, just like that.
Here's some of the former residents.
Alright, this is the turnkey's office. You were brought in here when you were first brought to prison for cooking and processing. The guard in charge of you on the other side he had. These would be stored in that white guns cabinet over there to prevent any inmates from getting a hold of them. A gray and white striped uniform, but eventually on good behavior, you could earn yourself trustee status getting a solid gray outfit. Trustee status earned you bigger cells, better treatment around the pen, and better things in general. Now we head in here.
Bet he's been there a long time.
The guard passed away, we got a new one outside, but that is now our modern day offices. When the movie company came through, they decided to turn it back into a visitation room. This is one of the rooms they made the most amount of changes to. Alright, this is A block. All the cells here were originally here when the prison first opened, and when they were new, they were all locked individually using a skeleton lock key. But we soon found out that these were easily pickable with fingers, so in 1902 we added the Johnson bar. But somebody hurt themselves on it, so we can't.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow, look at those little tiny sink and toilet. Got a cabinet, a light bulb. This guy left his laundry here.
The little bureau.
It was probably an option. I have no idea.
Probably a good one for the grave.
At least cells, the keyhole is more modern and harder to pick. There were 32 cells added, holding another 64 inmates altogether. The man in 1915, due to more overcrowding, added cells in 1821. These cells are much bigger than the original ones, and at first were given to 3 men at a time. But we soon found out the bigger of the two would often beat up the small.
This box opens and closes all the doors. How about that? I wonder what they did in this cell.
Crude dentistry? You know?
Is that a dentist chair or a barber chair?
And it said at the time we had a more complete law library than the University of Wyoming. All these cool paintings along the walls here were done by an inmate who actually left his initials in the main number right under here. And as you follow this way, you look for fresh air. These first 4 cells here were the original solitary.
Here's another shower room.
But the warden soon found out that men were getting themselves thrown in here on purpose, and he guesses why.
Heat?
Yep, that's part of it. So it was actually warmer in here, and if you remember, men on A block had to share that tiny space with another man. So they figured if they got just enough trouble to get thrown in here for a few days, they'd be able to warm up and have a mini vacation. When the warden found this out, she turned the first one into a wash.
This was a crank that opens all the windows at once. It opens them all or closes them all. This is the kitchen.
Because of how warm it was pretty easy to see the makeup flash from meals. Each mealtime, you would be given 3 items: a tray, a spoon, and a metal cup. At the end of each meal, if you pass through these windows, this is the cafeteria. Before the cafeteria existed, men would eat their meals in front of their cells on long wooden benches and tables. But once this was built, all those tables and benches were moved in here. We installed these steel benches and chairs, bolted them to the floor, and gave them a straighter set of rules. Each inmate had to sit facing this way and could not talk to the man in front or behind him. If you wanted to talk to the person on his right or left, it had to be in a dull whisper. If any of these rules were broken, a guard with a fully automatic Thompson machine. One man, Arthur Orcutt, when he came to us, he only had one arm due to an accident in the factory. And this is a working prison, so you were required to have a job. Since most of the jobs here were too hard for Arthur, the warden quickly found out he was a very talented artist and put him to work. Every weekend, Miss Higgins would come to the prison with a bunch of cookies and give them to every single inmate and guard, so you could tell everybody loved her. One year when Frank got out, he didn't know where to go because he wasn't from around Rawlins, so he decided to go to Miss Higgins' house. Then for some reason he robbed and beat her to death. He left her to die of her injuries and then escaped. The sheriff sent a posse after him, who soon caught up to him and brought him back to the jail. Once he was in the jail, the sheriff called the warden and asked, where's somewhere safer we could put him than the jail? Because in Rawlins we have a history of lynch mobs. And what's safer than the jail? It's not rhetorical, you can answer if you want.
Solitary.
The prison. So they brought him back here, put him on the 4th tier way in the back. And above that is the theater. Every weekend, all the walking inmates could experience factories of the year. We had 4 different factories. Our first one we had 3 green factories. But under the hard working conditions, they didn't like it very much, so they burned it down. It was rebuilt after that, and after several unsuccessful attempts, they burned it down again.
What was the original factory?
A broom factory. Now you probably noticed the factories aren't here anymore. This is because in 1981 when we closed, the state didn't want us, the didn't want us, the town didn't want us.
Keep out of what?
the exercise yard. At designated times throughout the day, inmates were allowed to come out here and perform various activities such as horseshoes, basketball, and our most famous, baseball. We got so good at baseball that we actually got our own official uniforms and equipment. Teams from around the state were allowed to come in and play us, and we went on a 9-game undefeated winning streak. Unfortunately, our people were home along to listen to their parking lot. These are the gallows. Fortunately, it is not the original because after the gas chamber was installed, they tore out the old one and turned it into a tool shed. We did our best to recreate what it would have looked like, and we're lucky enough to get the original bucket and weights. Feel free to take pictures, ask questions, look around.
This is a side yard, and that gallows I just showed you was where they did the executions, just like he demonstrated on that model inside. This barbed wire they have just a little bit there originally was all along the walls. Now we're going up in there.
We'll do, but spoiler alert, it's exactly the same as up here. For 30 minutes every day, inmates could either pace back and forth in this bullpen or take a shower. There's actually a pretty neat story over here. One night, a couple men broke out of their cells. You can still see over there where the
shower.
Well, when they broke out of their cells, they found out that the Julian gallows door still worked. So every night, they started sneaking out and digging the tunnel. One night, while they were digging their tunnel, they hit something hard and they didn't know what it was, so they struck a match. It was a gas line. 2 of them were brought back and were fully recovered.
The only heating they had was a few of these around, so it was always really cold in the winter. Now there's a new style of sink and toilet combo unit.
Okay, this is the gas chamber. Feel free to sit in the chair if you want to. It's actually kind of comfortable. It's just cold. Anyways, how this worked is under the chair there's a small lever. On this lever would have been an acid tablet above a small pool. When the chemist was ready, he would pull the lever and the acid tablet would fall into the pool, creating a hydrocyanic gas. The guards would ask you to hold your breath, which most of the time caused them to take a deep breath in, and the gas would take me into the open Wyoming air. Questions? Not too bad.
There's a nice old tree. Let's see what's down here. Well, let's play basketball. I like this. Not allowed beyond this point. Like over the wall. Well, we're going in here.
One is because of a lawsuit filed against the pen. The only way to get time underneath up is once a day when you are fed you if they didn't forget. One year, however, a man was thrown into the maximum amount of time, 1 week, and then he got released. But less than 24 hours later, he got in trouble, so he got himself thrown right back in. This time, however, the guards decided to mess with him. Instead of using him once a day, they fed him several times a day. By the time he got out, 1 week later, he thought he might have been there much longer than he actually was, and so they had to send him out to Evanston to the mental ward.
He said they did add these heating pipes at one point, but it would only make it about 20 degrees warmer than outside. And there were times when it was 40 below zero outside.
How he got out? Yeah. Did you get it? Anyone else? Who's your prison, please? Okay. Well, inmates stayed here. They used what was called.
This is a museum room. They made license plates here.
What's your name?
These are some tools that the prisoners made or had access to. Ooh, I wonder what that was used for. And we got some dice made out of something soft. Machine gun. Used in a prison? I guess so. What is this? Now that looks like a high caliber gun, but it's actually a flare gun, and that's another flare gun. Want to get into the picture? Oh, this is interesting. That's the warden. A lot of stories here. Well, that was an interesting tour. I really enjoyed it, especially being allowed to take videos anywhere I want. Good day, folks.